trying to do a live interview with Robin. However, internet connection is very difficult. So if the interview goes off, I will back it with a taping and post it as soon as possible. So we're going to continue on, and I'm going to start from the beginning with Bill Mack's question again. Why do you want to be mayor?
Because I want to make a difference in the community that I grew up in.
Absolutely. And what kind of a difference?
I want to see this community fulfill its dreams and goals. I want to see us follow through with the things that we have needed for quite some time, and be prepared for growth.
Again, from Bill Mack, what is your vision for the town in the next 5 years?
A really important part of our town growth for the next 5 years is going to be the boardwalk and revitalizing the boardwalk area. We need that that piece of it in order to create jobs, in order to boost our economy, in order to really become, I think, the gym that we know our community to be. And I'd like to see that fulfilled, and I'd like to see us prepare for that responsibly with the infrastructure needs that we have.
Great. Okay, and last question from Bill Mack. What can you do to assure town residents that everyone will be informed of plans for projects and financial actions well in advance of final decisions, and obtain input from town residents before bringing the issue to town council for consideration?
Sure, I think we've been working on this in recent years with updating the town website. We now have an official town Facebook page. We are trying to get more engaged with our community. But there's more we can do on that. Our water mailouts, our water bills, we went from that postcard to the letter, and we did that in order to be able to put inserts and information in there, and that needs to happen. So at least quarterly updates would go out to all of our citizens at their addresses, whether you have the internet or, here we're having these connection issues today. Right. So, I think that we need to reach out in multiple ways, not just digitally, but also in that, and be responsive to our citizens. When citizens contact me, I make time for them, and that's important.
Yes, you do. I have that even in writing from one of our citizens where you had actually wanted to take the time to help her with a personal problem, not even a town issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tony Del Monte asks, what is your vision to get the infrastructure fixed up and to date? Not just storm damage, but sidewalks and streets.
Sure, those things are related. Part of it was initially just creating a budget that could handle helping our infrastructure. And that when we balanced the water sewer budget with the increase that last year, that now we have a reserve. It's over $1 million reserve that we're going to need to spend in making these infrastructure improvements and happen responsibly over time. This is something we're going to be working on for a long time. You can't fix the sidewalks in the streets unless you fix stormwater. And the reason for that is because the infiltration that's happening in our sewer system means we just keep digging the street back up to fix it. So we have to do one in order to do the other. Otherwise, we keep paving the street and then we keep digging it back up. And the sidewalks, same deal. So they're integrated, and we are now are in a better fiscal place in order to purchase the equipment we need and dedicate, money towards fixing the infrastructure. And we need to do this over time. It's going to take a long time. It's not something immediate. We have to map the problem, and we now have a GIS technician that is working on all of our infrastructure mapping. That's a huge step. I've been advocating for that for 10 years.
Right. So this is something that you plan on
continuing
while you're
high priority.
Wonderful to hear that. And what about personal infrastructure, people's property and land?
I think we can get a little bit inventive about this too. So people's personal property, when you build up your house, your driveway, gravel, things like that, you have to be responsible for your own stormwater runoff. But there are ways for you to personally help with these issues too, like rain barrels and rain gardens and things like that. And I think that our garden club or our zoning ordinance can help people navigate those issues on their own properties as well.
Okay. And again, from Tony Del Monte, what is your personal opinion of what should be done with Eleanor Park?
I think we just need to evaluate things on Eleanor in a responsible way and deal with the facts and create practical solutions for that. I think that topic is used to be divisive and to also distract from actually the big things that are going on in Colonial Beach, like developing the boardwalk. I mean, we're in this negotiating a development deal right now down there. That's the big focus. Stormwater problems that we're having right now, that's the big focus. And I don't really think we need to get distracted with just one parcel, although it needs to become an asset and it's got to be activated or it's somehow needs to be giving back to this community. It's got to meet a goal. It's got to meet an objective, but at the same time, I don't want to get distracted on that for the big issues that we're really talking about.
Okay. And now I have a question from Bill Rowley. How did the funding for the dog park change from grants and donations to public tax money? Funding without public discussion or comment. Not why, but how. And who made that decision? Who suggested it be paid by town government?
The dog park at Robin Grove, it's pretty much been a dog park for a long time, has been on our capital improvement list for several years and been prioritized year after year, and several grants were applied for, but they're very competitive. Apparently dog parks are very popular, and
Yes.
It was very difficult to get a grant. I think at the end it was $15,000 that was spent, and that was from a surplus fund that we had from 2019. So it wasn't part of our regular general fund balance, and it was to get things done. I mean, we need to get these things checked off. We can't sit on them forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Our next question is from Brad Martin. Would you support waiving the meals and lodging taxes for CB residences?
I'm not sure how that would work, how you would validate whether somebody was a CB resident, especially because we have so many part-timers and weekenders and things like that, that within a business, like in my own business, maybe that would be easier. in
What
small
about
clients.
identification, driver's license? It would have Colonial Beach on it.
Yeah, that might be a possibility. I really think the bigger issue is helping businesses with the business license procedure that we have, and that needs to get overhauled. And part of it is timing. Right now, business licenses are due in April, right after we've come out of winter. That's so hard for businesses in this town. That's bad timing for paying those kinds of taxes. The second part is the process itself is difficult. I mean, I've seen many people go in there, business owners, upset about that way it's handled up there. And I'd like to see the format of that change. I think there can be a flat fee rate that would simplify that a lot. And
Yeah.
we need to help our businesses get connected with other economic support that's in our area, because we're in the enterprise zone. There are several other economic supporters in our area, and I think our town needs to help connect the businesses with those things in order to help them succeed.
And to maybe after building that, they would be able to offer the CB residents with proof of identification that they live on the beach, maybe that discount that Brad Martin was talking about. That
Yeah, I mean, that's
lodging.
something that we could look into.
Isn't that something that the businesses would decide and not the town? I mean,
I think as a town, the biggest thing that we can do is to be promoting our local businesses, helping them achieve their goals and be successful, extending our season to being more year-round. It's very hard to survive in a 6-month season.
right.
And, those are things that our chamber supports and that, we should be looking into too.
Okay. Julie Burks asks, as mayor, how can you keep the from here's satisfied with small town feel and continue to engage some come-heres with any changes happening, considering the real estate market is rising.
Those two groups need to work together, and I don't like that terminology, even though I am from Colonial Beach, because I think that everybody brings something to the table in that, and that we survive on all of our residents. And things like the community events that we do in town are something that bring both of those together. Potomac River Festival, our heritage, I think we need to embrace that and love it, participate in it, and that brings those groups together, and that's important.
Yes, it is. Very important. Okay. If Stacy Stinnett asks, if you get elected, will you continue catering to the visitors and ignore the residents like it's been going on?
No, I don't ignore residents ever. Any resident that reaches out to me, I communicate with and make time for. And I think both groups are vital to our economy, but I don't want to ignore residents, no.
No, absolutely. Why would you? I mean, residents can give you a lot of input and feel on the community they're living in. So, and I've never known you to ignore any resident. Okay, so Ginny Washburn asks, and I think I know the answer to this. Will you close down a bar that does not follow CDC regulations, even if the owner is on the council?
I don't think council has any purview over closing down a business for CDC stuff. That's the Virginia Health Department.
Right, PDH. Okay, but I mean, shouldn't this council member be an example? I mean,
certainly all council members should always set the example.
I think that's what she's pointing out, is that he's on the council and not being a good example. It's basically her tie to that and wanting to know if they would close down. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're doing something wrong and you're not supposed to, it don't matter who you are, you're going to get looked into. It's simple as that. Town council or not. So that's just it. Okay, so Wendy and Terry Shumway asked, how will you encourage new and existing businesses to come and stay? The town needs to grow to increase visitors and town interests.
Yeah. So the Virginia Main Street program is a really big goal of mine and of other people in this town. It is really the place that we want to get our downtown Colonial Beach organization to. And one of the things they do is provide economic support for businesses. And they just got a grant through the community development, and it's to help attract businesses into our existing commercial space, to promote our commercial space in order to find the right kind of business that would work for them there. So I think that we need to continue to invest in that, and that we need to support downtown Colonial Beach, we need to support our chamber, and we need to support attracting businesses that are going to make it here. And like I said, extending that tourism season, things like the Osprey Festival, which now happen in like April, all the way to Bike Fest in October. I mean, as much as we can, helping expand on that.
Right. Well, that's good. Now, is there something that you were going to offer businesses, a class or?
Yeah, so I would like to see a coalition between the SBA, our chamber, and an educational partner like RCC to form a business development center here in Colonial Beach. I personally use the business development center in Warsaw, and that really helped. I mean, classes, getting our business owners connected with the education that they need in order to survive, or in order to connect to financial opportunities and grow, or employment, helping them find employees, helping employees get certifications that they need. It's about creating jobs, and it's about helping businesses thrive.
Absolutely. Okay, Anthony Jr. wants to know, What is your political party affiliation?
I'm an independent, and I'm running as independent, and I have voted for both Democrats and for Republicans. And in this community, I see good ideas coming out of everybody,
Both parties?
and I need everybody to work together. So that's really important, and I think we got to stay open-minded about that.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. Okay, Carolyn McGee would like to know, what is the Dotson Development Group and their development plan?
Sure. Dotson Development Group, if you don't know about the Dotson Development Group and the plan that's going on, I really encourage you to go on the town website and look at the presentation that they gave. It is a 4-phase development plan for our downtown. It includes mixed-use development, townhouses, condos, commercial space, and historic revitalization. And part of this is getting the historical designation, and that designation is going to create tax incentives so that buildings like our old bank building, the Westmoreland Bank building, get restored and saved as part of our heritage and culture, and we keep the look and feel of Colonial Beach. And I think that's important. We need to know who we are. We need to stay true to where we came from. And that is going to help create a fabric in the community that makes us special. And we don't need to be like anywhere else. We need to be Colonial Beach.
Absolutely, and we are.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. I have a question from Jim Green. And I know this was probably before your term or whatever, but could you explain how and why the police department was decertified and uncredited? And can you resolve that issue?
Sure. We have a certification process. It's done by a third-party consultant now for all of our paperwork. It's actually cheaper than accreditation, so saving us money to get cops on the streets instead of sitting around doing paperwork, I think, has been a good thing. I support our police department. Small local services like the police department, the fire department, the rescue squad. This is part of what makes a town, and I think it draws people here. And we want to see those services locally operated and support those. It's a big part of having community pride.
Absolutely. Colonial Beach should definitely support our police department.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so I guess that would be something you will try to resolve in your term.
Yeah, I think the paperwork part of it is being done.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Pete Bone asks, will you stop voting on issues at work session unless it is extremely critical issue? Use them to discuss and compile information to be put in resolution and then vote on item at regular scheduled meetings? That would allow citizens to watch the work session, and if any concerns arise, they could be present at the regular meeting prior to the vote by council.
Yeah, I think so. Pete watches them online, and then you want to process that information. And I think this is changing the dynamic of public input, and so we probably need to be I'd like to see public input come up further on the agenda, especially at the regular meeting, so that we can hear about those things or people's general concerns before we get to old business and new business.
That's right. Okay. Allie Renee asks, what are your plans to make Colonial Beach feel inclusive to your minority residents?
Well, we need to be inclusive to everybody in our community. And I think we have openings on the Planning Commission right now, and I really encourage that people from all groups within our community apply for that. We have diversity on things like the Planning Commission because they advise town council and they create community planning and development tools for us. So we need to hear from every group and every person.
That's right. I feel any openings in the town or is not subject to minority. I mean, if they're willing to come forward and apply, they're more than welcome, right?
Yeah, and I'm encouraging of that.
Absolutely. Okay. Susan Mack asks, can you tell us about your vision for Colonial Beach, which you kind of did, Is there any more you want to elaborate on that question?
Well, the vision for Colonial Beach is about community development, not just profit-based development. It's about a community fabric and integrating in our historical pieces with new. It's about attracting families and people of all generations. And I think being, well, like the kind of the last question, inclusive and hearing from everyone. And that's the kind of development I'd like to see. Growth for the sake of growth isn't always make your community better. We need to be making sure that the things that develop in our community add to its beauty, add to its character, and don't just aren't just profit based or distract or detract from the things that make us unique and special.
Absolutely. Okay. Again, from Susan Mack, please provide an update on raft and specify how homes most at risk in storms may be better protected through this effort.
Raft, if people don't know this, is an initiative through the state with some educational partners, ODU, William and Mary, and UVA, and it's a resiliency action committee. And there have been many items identified by this initiative that we're working on. We are the most engaged community in the Northern Neck for the entire program. I'm really proud of that for us. Our staff is engaged. We have community members engaged. And it's about resiliency, not just from stormwater or rising tide levels, but pandemics and other things that, our community needs to be prepared for, and creating preparedness plans. We have a citizen committee that's getting formed. We're going to be talking about that at the work session in order to carry through with some of these initiatives further on. And this is going to be a process. It's not something that happens overnight. But the good part is that we are engaged and planning for the future.
Colonial Beach has a reputation for not being business friendly. And what are your specific plans for addressing this?
Well, we do need to be business friendly. One of the things that's not business friendly is the way that the taxes are, the business tax procedure is done. And that's part of why I'm really an advocate for kind of overhauling that whole procedure. The other part is reaching out to businesses and connecting them with these other partnerships, helping provide those tools for them.
The resources.
The resources, yeah. And funding an economic development position, whether that's a partnership with Downtown Colonial Beach or how that looks, that's going to be vital for helping our businesses too, to help them get the resources they need.
Again, last question from Susan Mack. A national politics is playing out in our small town and causing division and disruption. How will you bridge this divide and work with all of our citizens? It's kind of silly.
Well, I'm not taking sides in the national politics thing. I'm staying out of it. I don't want to, I really, very purposely, my signs are black and gold for a reason. I know that that's a divisive thing in our country right now. And, to me, Washington needs to stay in Washington. Richmond needs to stay in Richmond. And we need to do Colonial Beach. And that's what I'm focused on.
That's great. Okay. And I have the last question would be, and you've already answered it, and that would be, would you be consider building our boardwalk up? I do remember a grant be given to the people, and of course they got ripped off from the boardwalk being built up. So I guess my question to that is, would that be a major priority for you to start building up our boardwalk to access an income for our beach?
Yeah, the boardwalk is a top priority, but it goes along with infrastructure. Because you can't ignore the infrastructure needs and the investments that we're going to have to make in order to support that. So they've got to come together. Also, when we build up the boardwalk and with this Dotson group and the things that they are proposing, I think that they understand our character and our vibrancy, but we've got to bring the community into that and save some of our historic buildings. I'm glad to see things like Doc's Motor Court, maybe going to come back. And I've heard good news recently about the police station. The old police station is hopefully going to get underway here. And, the motel. And we've seen a lot of positives in that area. And I think that's going to grow on itself in the next 5 years. I want to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything that you would like to tell the citizens before we say goodbye to this interview? Is there anything else you'd like to add that was not asked?
Sure. I provide a lot more specifics on things on my website, so you're welcome to go to robin4cb.com for more specific information. I am available. I'm open. I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. I'm out and about in the community, so keep up with me and email me or get in contact with me, and I will make time for you and answer any other questions that you may have.
Very good. Well, thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Sher.
And thank you, citizens of Colonial Beach, for tuning in and watching this video. And we want you to have a great CB day.
And vote in November.
Yeah, don't forget.